Today, we're pleased to have in a man who has been an educator in the public school system in West Virginia for 35 years in Kanawha County and in Roane County. In fact, he spent 3 years as principal at the old Walton High School in Roane County. For the last year, he has been the state coordinator for the Exodus Mandate Project, and we're pleased to have in with us Karl. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tom. I really appreciate the chance to be here.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Karl lives now near Poca, West Virginia, and you retired from the public school system, right?
Yes, I did. I need to make one little correction. I was principal at Walton Elementary School.
Oh, Walton Elementary. I'm sorry. For 3 years. Okay. And they you spent all that time, 35 years, in the public schools in West Virginia. You had to see a lot. Were you a member of the teachers union?
Yes, I was. And as a matter of fact, I remained a member while I was a principal.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very, very loyal union member.
What is your opinion now of the teachers union in West Virginia?
Well, the teachers union nationwide, not just West Virginia, is part of the problem. Why I think the public schools can't be redeemed.
Wow. What changed your mind on that?
Experiences with the evolutionism battles in Kanawha County. They sided with the opposition. As a matter of fact, they turned their backs on one of their board members, an ex-teacher whom they had elected. Her name slips my mind now, Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very well-known board member.
Mm-hmm.
And actually caused her defeat on the next election because of her position. That's just one example.
Mm-hmm. The teachers union, and I've seen their questionnaire as they look to endorse different candidates, local and statewide candidates and so forth, and it has nothing to do with education, with the kids. It's all about who they can get elected to help empower them and keep them in power and gain them more power and control.
Absolutely. They focus on the left-wing agenda. Most teachers that I worked with in Kanawha County, and I think I can project this statewide, wouldn't give a dime of their money to support the agendas that the teacher unions support, yet they pour their dues into the unions.
Is it because you did that, and maybe sometime during that 35 years the agenda for the union changed, and I'll give you that, but is there also some type of an ignorance there? You just don't realize that they're doing this, that they're lobbying for these liberal agendas?
Well, you have a good point there. There's good things that the teacher unions do. Like if I could do some research, I might find something good that the ACLU does.
Sure.
But the unions do some good things, but overall, they're a detriment to society and the public school system.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's people that would still try to find some good things that Hitler did, but I wouldn't want him in power. And I could say that you could always find some good in just about anybody. Well, I think that the teachers' unions have gotten so horrifically powerful, and they want to, at every cost, at all costs, maintain that power. That seems to be, as we transition here, why they are so against homeschooling, Christian school, and public school.
Let me back up just a minute. You talked about a little research. One thing that caused me to open my eyes was to find out exactly what they supported. To go to their website. Back when I went, the internet wasn't that popular, but I just ordered their position papers.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the question you just asked me?
Well, you go ahead with what'd you find out in that research? What they supported?
Well, the teacher unions were based in the beginning on a bad agenda. John Dewey, famous atheist, was a part of the establishment of the early teacher unions,
mm-hmm.
and they support the homosexual agenda They support left-wing agendas. For example, they had to back off something on their website after 9/11 because it was too sympathetic towards Muslim radicals.
Wow. That's just unbelievable. And their support for, and I think this would get a lot of people if they knew about it, Planned Parenthood. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they're very supportive of what we would call promiscuous agendas. Pro-abortion, that they would support taking your daughter out of the public school without your knowledge for an abortion. If I'm not mistaken, I think that can be done in West Virginia.
We're talking with Karl Priest, former educator in West Virginia public school system for 35 years, Kanawha County and Roane County. It will take a break. He's now the state coordinator for Exodus Mandate. We'll talk about that and why unions are so against getting our parents taking their kids out of the public school and putting them in the private schools or homeschooling. 8:16, this is the Tom Roten Morning Show, News Talk 800 WVHU. Karl Priest is with me. He is the state coordinator for Exodus Mandate. Let me give you the website. It's exodusmandate-wv.org. And a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, Karl, I talked to Lieutenant Colonel Ray Moore, who is the national director of Exodus Mandate. He gave me your name and contact information. I'm glad he did. But he was on the program and talked about, the things behind this, the reason so many people are coming around to this. But to go back to the unions, the teachers' unions, they are completely against Exodus Mandate. They're against parents who have been pulling their children out of public schools for the various reasons for a long time, all because of their own power, and they want to keep their power.
Absolutely. The old saying of follow the money. There's a lot of money coming into the teacher unions. We're talking billions of dollars. They have political power. Some states it's mandatory to be in the unions, and they don't want to lose that power. And they may use platitudes about how much they love the children, but basically it's to keep the power.
What happens to a teacher who decides not to be a part of the union in West Virginia?
In West Virginia, they're not mandated to be part of the union, and that's something I want to stress to my colleagues. They're in school teaching now, but maybe their family members can tell them. They don't need the teacher unions for insurance. They can get that other ways. I dropped out the last 10 years or so, and I was a very vocal opponent of things the Board of Education did, so if anyone was going to be on a hit list, it would have been me. The teachers do not need the teacher unions for the protection. And another thing, I think that the people of West Virginia are going to pay them the maximum they can, no matter what the pressure the teacher union brings to bear.
Well, the teachers unions have done so well that West Virginia teachers are still like 49th as far as pay in the country anyway. Yeah, I always wonder that. Every year it comes up before the legislature, teachers need pay raises. Teachers need pay raises. Well, the ones who have been fighting for that on their behalf haven't done really a good job getting them the pay raises, have they?
Well, they've had some success, but let's face it, there's only so much money available in West Virginia. One thing that amazes me is the teacher unions do not want to reward teachers for merit, and I think something like that has some validity. They should try.
I talk about that all the time, Karl, when this comes up, and I use this. I've used it a dozen times, and I'm sure you could remember at times where you were in the school and you felt like, look, this teacher over here is doing a great job. I've seen this person stay late. Put in some extra time, focus on a couple individuals that were needing some special attention maybe, and you could say that person, that teacher deserves a raise, and you can look at the results that the teacher's producing and so forth. Then you could look over here down the hall somewhere else. You find another teacher that doesn't come in until he absolutely has to. As soon as the final bell's gone, he's the first one out before the kids are even out. The success speaks for itself. The lack thereof speaks for itself because the kids aren't doing that well. They don't seem to know anything about the subject that teacher's teaching. So you could definitely say that teacher doesn't deserve a raise, but yet the WVEA says, no, everybody gets a raise. How can teachers in all 55 counties of West Virginia be so stupid to go along with that?
Well, they're going to argue that things would be unfair. There'd be political raises. They've got arguments, but they haven't really tried anything.
Right.
And nationwide, I really encourage your listeners to do some research if they didn't see John Stossel's Stupid in America. He really gets into educational freedom and why teachers and parents should have freedom of education.
Yeah. Actually, Cabell County's on spring break, so maybe we do have some teachers listening today.
That's good.
I hope so.
There's a lot of hard-working teachers.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure they are. And I'm not against teachers. But I think that once you have been in the school system so long, maybe some of your awareness, maybe even your common sense fades a little bit, and you're not seeing some of the indoctrination and the agendas that are coming in, whether it's from the unions or the feds or whatever it is. And I have story after story about how kids are being taught in 3rd, 4th, 6th grade, whatever it is. We're going to have Islam Day. We're going to pray to Mecca 3 times a day. You've brought me in this morning from the Charleston Gazette, March 31st, a huge picture of Malden Elementary students taking part in an in-school yoga program made possible by a $5,000 grant from West Virginia on the move. And Malden Elementary in Kanawha County, they're doing yoga. They've paid for a special yoga instructor, T-shirts, a yoga workshop for teachers and parents. Students take 30-minute yoga sessions. Yoga comes from Buddhism. I mean, how can they do that?
Buddhism and Hinduism. You know, it amazes me. But Tom, the test scores are down in West Virginia, down in Kanawha County, and probably down in Malton Elementary. But those kids are going to feel good about it and be really relaxed.
Oh yeah. When they get their D-, they can just go to yoga class, get out a mat, and lay down and relax. One student, 10-year-old, said something about it's really fun and relaxing. If I was angry about something, I come to yoga and I forget what I was angry about. Now that's just silly. This is silly stuff that they're doing in the public schools. Yet if a student, a Christian student, came in and said, you know what, I'm getting a little upset or stressed out about this, I just got in an argument with Johnny at recess, I'd like to go and just have a time of prayer. Well, they wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, Tom, even the yoga masters say that you cannot separate yoga from its religious base. Mm-hmm. You can nail them with their own words, not only the religious aspects like this, but the liberal aspects. And there's something called Christian yoga. I don't believe it exists, and the yoga experts say it doesn't exist, but try to get Christian yoga in that school and see what happens.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Christian rock, if you ask me. This is not a California story, by the way. I said it, and I want to make sure you heard me. It's the Charleston Gazette. This is Malden Elementary in West Virginia. And I've heard stories in Ironton, as close by as Ironton, Ohio, where they've been taught things about Islam and so forth. And Karl, we're not talking about religious studies class here. We're talking about things where children are being, young children, as young as 10, being indoctrinated with other religions when, we're supposedly in the Bible Belt, and they cannot practice, they cannot participate in prayer. The Bible cannot be taught, the 10 Commandments cannot be displayed, and silly things like that. So we completely turn a 180 away from anything that has to do with God.
Good point. And sometimes most of the times it's not as blatant as this yoga at this school. For example, I taught the mathematics in the middle school, junior high level, And in the last book that I used, in the teacher's edition and or the student edition, were activities for Mohammed and ESP. Parents are not always aware of what's going on. Not to mention some teachers just have their own philosophies that they bring into the classroom. That's why I strongly urge parents, particularly Christian parents, to get their children out into the safety of home schools or Christian schools.
Well, I want to talk about that because you were not a homeschooler. I mean, not only did you spend 35 years in the public education, but your children were public school educated. Is that right?
That's right, and I regret it. I can't go back and change things. All I can do is urge people not to make the same mistake that I did.
We're talking with Karl Priest, who is a retired teacher and principal in the West Virginia school system for the last year, since March of 2007. He's been the state coordinator for the Exodus Mandate Project, which encourages parents to get their children out of the public school system in West Virginia. The website is exodus-mandate-wv.org. And, Karl, if you can, hang on here another break, and we'll come back and we'll continue to talk about this movement and where it's going and how people can get involved. Exodus-mandate-wv.org. Exodus Mandate, one word, then -wv.org. And you see a lot about this organization, and the coordinator now for the last year, Karl Priest, who's my guest here on the Tom Roten Morning Show, an educator for 35 years in Kanawha County and Roane County, West Virginia public schools, and then realized some things. And I think you hit on one of the one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want their kids in public schools, and that is the evolution being taught. When I was in school, it was taught, at least where I was in 6th grade, as more of a theory. Now I believe they're teaching it as the only choice, the only that it is fact. And there's no other discussion allowed about creation, about Genesis 1. So I don't understand how a Christian parent, and we've had this debate several times, can allow their son or daughter that they're trying to bring up in the church in a Christian home to go and hear 5 days a week that they evolved from monkeys, and then 1 hour a week on Sunday morning they get to hear that God created. Because the highly educated professors and teachers are going to be telling them that their parents and their preacher is nothing but an uneducated buffoon.
Evolutionism permeates the public school systems. It's not just in the science classes. It's in the social studies and English classes. It was in my mathematics class, and the pre-algebra book had a lot on evolutionism. That's one reason I got away with being able to criticize it, much to the dismay of the Board of Education. But the powers that be aren't trying to block creation science. They block all criticism of evolutionism because they know it can't stand scientific and logical criticism.
It's frustrating that more people haven't gotten upset and taken a stand at what the public schools are doing with that issue and realize where all that leads. Belief in evolution also leads to the lie that's being permeated right now to public school children concerning global warming. And now we have children in the 3rd and 4th grade coming back to their parents and saying, "Mommy and Daddy, you're destroying the polar bears because you're taking us to school in this SUV."
There's a common thread in issues like global warming and abortion and so on that all connect to evolutionism. And are you familiar with a movie that's coming out in a few days called Expelled?
Yeah, by Ben Stein.
Yes.
Yeah. He had a tour at Marshall, and we talked to one of the producers about that. And what he does in that movie, he's talking about the number of scientists, professors on college campuses and teachers and high schools and so forth that debunk evolution, and they're being refused promotions, they're losing their jobs, they're being transferred to other departments and so forth, all because they disagree with evolution.
Yeah, and he also is going to bring out, or he brings out in the movie, how evolution ties into what happened in World War II with the extermination of the Jews.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. It was all Margaret Sanger, and it originated as really a racist idea to rid America of the black race. And here the African Americans today embrace this pro-choice, pro-abortion idea and support Planned Parenthood wholeheartedly.
That really amazes me, that the black folks take that position. Darwin was against slavery, but he was a racist. In his own words, he was a racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Karl Priest, who is state coordinator for Exodus Mandate West Virginia. Now, there is Exodus Mandate has a state coordinator in Ohio, too. Is that right?
That's right. He's a young fella, outstanding man. I encourage your Ohio listeners to get in touch with him if you'll give his email address. He did give me permission.
Okay, yeah, Nick Jackson is his name, and you can reach him at nickjackson22@juno.com, nickjackson22@juno.com for listeners in Ohio who'd be interested in getting with the state coordinator in the Buckeye State for Exodus Mandate. All right, when you look at some of these things, Karl, that we talk about evolution, but there are other reasons why people are taking a second look at things like homeschooling or public or private school or Christian school because of the other failures. You can set Christianity or religion aside for just a moment. You can set the indoctrinations aside for a moment and just look at the results of the public schools. And we can start with West Virginia and see that West Virginia ranks 48th, 49th, 50th in just about every educational category that there is, with the exception of one. I think they're in the top 5 of money spent per pupil on education, but where's that money gotten them? It hadn't gotten them very far. So, but there are even liberals and Democrats and leftists who say public schools failing.
That's what I keep saying. The own words of liberals and Democrats, sort of an oxymoron there, are perfect for us. I have a lot of quotes that I can provide for people. I've done it in my editorials, and just to summarize, for instance, the Gates Foundation says that it's going to ruin our country. Steve Payne, the superintendent of West Virginia schools, says that our children aren't prepared to get jobs. Kanawha County board members are talking about the problems with drugs and inappropriate attire. There's all kinds of these things, but their solution is more money. Mm-hmm. And I say that you can't fix it. It's been tried since Carter. We've put billions of dollars down a rat hole.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the difference. I mean, just about everybody agrees that the public school system is broke, that the public school system is not getting the job done. And that's not just here in West Virginia. That's basically everywhere. I'm sure everybody, if you look hard enough, you'll find plenty of successes. Again, we're not saying every teacher's bad. There's good teachers and so forth, and there's good students coming out too. However, as a whole, public school is broke. It's a failure. Liberal answer is continue to sink money down a rat hole, as you said. But that can't be done anymore. Somewhere along the line, somebody's got to stand up and say, no, this is too far gone. We need to do something else. And that's where you come in. That's where Exodus Mandate comes in and says, look, you've got a right to educate your child yourself.
Yeah, interestingly, the homeschool movement was started not by holy people, by hippie people back in the 70s,
yeah,
who realized the public schools were detrimental to their children. And I want to tell your listeners that I'm just following the path that has already been beaten down by many wonderful people, especially homeschoolers, but also Christian school pioneers.
Mm-hmm.
There are answers to the questions and the challenges they have, and they should look at them, and they can start on my website, which has a link to Ray Moore's main website also.
Yeah, you got tons of links on your website that folks should go to, and I encourage folks to do that, exodusmandate-wv.org. When you look at some of the other things, and we talked to Bob Unruh from WorldNet Daily yesterday, big story yesterday at worldnetdaily.com that he wrote, public schools putting condoms in a little goodie bag for students going to the prom, things like that. When is enough going to be enough when it comes to the sexual promiscuity going on in the public school system?
Well, this is a no-brainer for Christian parents, but it's also something that's important for parents no matter what their faith system is. They need to rescue their children. They need to get them out of the public schools, and I have a passion to tell people that. And I'll do it at a burger joint or at church. Just invite me and let me speak.
And I want to let you give out your number here then if you want to. Folks might want to do that. One of the other big things, particularly we hear it in California, but it's going on here, the gay, lesbian, bisexual club issue at Boyd County High School that was in the news for a few years. But out in California, there is a tremendous indoctrination program when it comes to the homosexual agenda. You're not even allowed to use the term mom and dad in the public school for fear that could offend a homosexual student in the public schools in California. And coincidentally, around the same time now, you have the appeals court saying that homeschooling is illegal in California. Now, hopefully that's going to be overturned. But you, as an educator in West Virginia, you've seen the homosexual agenda in West Virginia schools, I'm sure.
I have an interesting, at least to me, story. I went to a in-service one afternoon after the children were released to go home, supposedly on bullying. And the two faculty sponsors of the FCA club had been recruited to sponsor this. They'd been recruited without knowing that it was actually stealth tactics to bring pro-homosexual agenda into our school. And that was brought out in that meeting. And had not I happened to be there to point out what happened, it would have been in our school, and the teachers' parents would have been hoodwinked.
So you've seen this. You've seen kids that have at young ages say that they're homosexual and so forth, or cross-dress and that type of thing.
Well, down into the 7th grade level is as far as I can say that I've had kids who openly said that they were homosexual, and that particular one was a girl. But, they use this as a anti-bullying is how they bring it in. The situation that I've seen is that the fat kids, the poor kids, and particularly the holiness Christian kids are the ones that are bullied and ostracized, not the ones that claim some type of sexual agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's definitely, you've heard Governor Manchin mention that this anti-bullying agenda, and the ACLU, which has an office set up in Attorney General Warren McGraw's office, has been vehemently trying to indoctrinate this anti-bullying policy, and nobody's for bullying, but where students are now narcs, telling on other students for this perceived bullying when it comes to the homosexual agenda.
Now, that's the group that was trying to get it into our school, the Attorney General's office. And Kevin McCoy's group, which you're familiar with, was instrumental in blocking what the success that they were attempting in West Virginia.
Yeah. We've been talking to, we've been talking to Karl Priest, educator for 35 years in West Virginia Public Schools, now coordinator for Exodus Mandate West Virginia, exodusmandate-wv.org. And one of your goals I've noticed on your website here is to build coalitions with West Virginia pastors, ministers, denominations. You want to get some people together on this. And if a church or some kind of organization wanted to have you come speak to learn more, how could they get a hold of you?
Through the website, or if you allow me to, I can give my phone number.
Sure, yeah.
304-769-0217.
Okay. And so folks can get a hold of you that way. Just one final word that you'd like to give to, like say it's spring break, so there's parents at home with their kids right now. There's teachers, educators from Campbell County that are home maybe right now. What would you say to them to really get them to consider that parents need to get their kids out of the public school in West Virginia?
Well, I want to encourage parents to rescue their children. I want to encourage teachers to quit pouring money into the teacher unions that are working against their values, the values of most of them. And I don't think public schools can be reformed. I tried it with evolution in Kanawha County. Ray Moore has a saying that I'd like to share with people. Reforming the public schools is like teaching a pig to dance. You get dirty, and you make the pig mad.
Well, you wouldn't want to do that. I also want to mention, too, Karl, you got another website, insectman.us, which I know you have a lot of information there on creation versus evolution.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's my primary ministry, is using insects, which is a hobby of mine to uplift the Creator. The Exodus Mandate website, we've had a little trouble with getting it updated, but if people keep checking it, I've got a lot of good stuff to get up there that's not up there now. Okay, good deal. Well, we'll keep checking on that. We'll also on the Roten page at 800WVHU.com, I'll link exodusmandate-wv.org and insectman.us, so folks can go and visit those websites too. All right, Karl, it's been a real pleasure to have you on, and it's great to meet you, and I appreciate what you're doing and encouraging folks to do this. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you and what you do. All right, 8:51 here at the Tom Roten Morning Show. We'll take a break and be back. One final segment on News Talk 800 WVHU.